Okay.
So this afternoon, I was walking actually around an area in Johannesburg in a shopping center, doing window shopping, and then guess what? I bumped into my friend Owl from Qkumba Zoo, who incidentally has a studio near where we were, and here I am in studio with Owl, and I thought this might be a great opportunity, Owl, to talk about that new single that you've got out. So, of course, I'm Rian, and this is Al, and we're talking about Cucumber Zoo.
Rian, how's it? Yep, I'm Al, and so like amazing of you just to bump into me as you're walking around.
It is.
And yeah, and just for our viewers, just to tell them that this is a very thrown together affair. So excuse the mic passing backwards and forwards, but we will.
Bumping into each other.
Yeah. So yes, Unicorns is our new single. You asked me the questions.
Okay. So, as I said, we are in Owl's studio. This is very impromptu. We are passing a mic. So, this is it should be like this. I mean, really, professional studio interview shit doesn't work anyway. So there's the new single Unicorns, but I want to go back in time to how this all started. And you started off as a duo with Lavana back in the day. Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay. Qkumba Zoo started before Qkumba Zoo because Lavana and I we became friends, and then I discovered she could sing and she liked writing songs, and we started a band called Ocean Road. Now, Ocean Road was an acoustic Afro rock outfit. So it started out just two of us, and eventually became four. So we had a bassist from Congo, and a drummer from Tanzania. What happened was we weren't earning any money, and we were like living sort of small little life pittance to small little life pittance. And one day I went to go see a band called 24/7. It was a Dutch.
I remember.
Remember 24/7? Yeah. I'm like, geez, I can do that. That's simple. There's a couple of beats and what have you. So I ended up buying a sampler, a ASR10, which is kind of a classic back in the day, and took about a year to realize it's actually very hard. It's hard to do dance music. Yeah, so that's what happened. So Cucumbers just started because I thought it would be easier to make money through dance music, only to realize it was just as hard as anything else. But by the time I realized that, we got the interest of David Gresham Records, and I started to figure out how to put the stuff together. So yeah, we started as a duo, and then only later became Cucumber Zoo.
How did the name Cucumber Zoo come about? Because did you have a name Cucumber Zoo when you were recording already, or did that come about while you were recording with David Gresham?
Good question, because the answer is no. We didn't have the name when we started. It was back in the 90s, and the sort of flowering of, well, I suppose that we still have a bit of that 80s, excuse me, bit of that 80s panache, if you want to use that word, but heading into the beyond. So I think, especially in South Africa with the ending of apartheid and everything, there was like a opening up. I don't know why I'm saying it. Oh, name, that's right. Yeah, just a little diversion, a little chat there. So no, we didn't have a name. So we were Ocean Road, and then we decided to do Cucumbers around about 94 as a changeover in government happened. And we knew we needed a name, but it was going to come. And then we were about 6 months into recording when Gresham says to us, "Look, guys, you got to come up with a name." And Lavana's friend Janet was in the kitchen. They were making dinner one night, and she was chopping cucumbers. She goes, "Cucumber Zoo." And Lavana goes to me, "Cucumber Zoo," and I'm going, "That sucks. I don't like that name." But after a while, I'm going, "Actually, that's quite a cool name, but you're going to have to change the spelling because there's no ways I'm going to be QCUC." That's not going to happen. So I can't remember exact sort of time period, but 2-3 weeks, and we had Qkumba Zoo, the name.
Then 1996 came, and you had a world smash hit with It Was the Child Inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, which sped, I think, number one on the UK dance charts, US dance charts. Help me out on that one.
Yeah.
And firstly, what was that experience like? And I know we've spoken about this in conversations, but I just want you to share that with me again, because there was a magical moment that you had.
Yeah. Thank you. Look, I think worldwide smash hit might be a little bit generous. We had a hit on the American dance charts, and in certain other places like in the Philippines and parts of Asia. Having said that, I was very happy to have that kind of success, because these little appies from Joburg in South Africa, given opportunity to reach out way beyond our borders. So, and I remember we went to New York about 3 or 4 times, and the third time we went, the single had been released, and we were doing a promo tour. So we were walking down Fifth Avenue as The Child Inside was on top of the American dance charts, and it was like, I was walking on air. It was one of those moments. It was awesome. And then we had the opportunity to go and play in the Palladium with Junior Vasquez, who helped us get that number one single, because he created that, in my mind, a classic remix of Child Inside. So it's pretty special.
Then somehow you guys disappeared off the scene. You vanished.
Yeah.
Why? What happened?
Look, I think there was a couple of reasons. So the first thing is, I think if we, from Aris's perspective, they wanted The Child Inside to become number one, not just on the dance, but on the pop charts. So I think the album reached 67 on the charts, and so from their perspective, well, look, it didn't do well enough. And I think part of our problem at that point was we didn't actually have we didn't have a manager. A manager can walk into the label and go, your strategies are wrong, you need to do this and that. So I think we should have, then they pushed us in the States. And in Asia, so for instance, in Japan, we sold 50,000 CDs without, I didn't even know about it until 3 years later that we sold all those like CDs. So we should have really been pushed in Europe and Asia before like really hitting the American market. So that, I think, put a bit of a spanner in the works. And then came time for the second album, and I think some of our songs on the second album were even better. But by that stage, Arista kind of started pulling out, and Gresham, and we had a bit of we've always had a sort of bit of a tense relationship with David Gresham Records. But, we were still signed to him, and so we were producing our second album, and we didn't really have the same production support as we did. So I think our songs are better, but the production is not as good. So we were always going to struggle. And then we released ourselves from that contract, and we were on our own, and now we had to try and promote ourselves. So we didn't exactly disappear, but it became a lot quieter. And we only really sort of left that stage of Qkumba Zoo in about 2003. We had to go find jobs and, earn a living and stuff.
Cope with real life.
Yeah. Well, that was real life for me. But I had a new real life now. Yeah. In fact, I almost left real life to go to something that wasn't real life for me. Yeah. So that's why I'm back here doing this.
Then, as you know, I'm a huge fan of the band.
Thank you.
And 2 years ago, was 2017,
Yeah.
I was sitting one Sunday night, and I do mixes for Derek the Bandit.
Right.
And I saw a post from Derek. Qkumba Zoo is releasing this new single, which was Butterflies Out of Time.
Yeah.
And I platzed. And I think that's where we connected, was with that single. I'm still getting goosies. Now, I've got 2 questions happening here. So I'm gonna unethically, my mentor, radio mentor, will kill me for this at the moment. Is firstly, tell me how that single came about, and then secondly, I want you to tell me about the sound of the band now compared to then.
Okay. Well, that's, a lot of sort of, Lavana was quite happy to just to kind of have Qkumba Zoo exist back, 15, 20 years ago. But in my mind, we never really, I always thought we had 4 or 5 really good albums in us, and we just need to get to them. But unfortunately, that never happened. So that Out of Time has always been a favorite of ours. In fact, it's pre-Qkumba Zoo. We wrote that with Ocean Road. And I said to Lavana, look, I really like that song. Can't we do it? In fact, what happened was we did it for some movie, one of these sort of collab movies, and we wanted to offer it to someone, and it never got picked up. But I said, look, let's do Qkumba Zoo, and she goes, okay, and it helps that I do like most of the work, and then she just has to sing. But
I hope she's not listening to it.
Well, it's kind of the way it works. I mean, we're both songwriters, and then she's a lyricist. She's always, you can't always measure things in terms of time. Sometimes the value is outside of time. Funny, we should mention the name of the song, Out of Time. So I put it together, and what happened was I kind of went back more towards the Ocean Road version, because in that back in there, I said, remember we had that Tanzanian drummer. So I actually used some of his sort of, I don't have those old recordings, but what I remember of how I used to play it. So I put that kind of style into that song. So that's why it sounds very different to a lot of our earlier stuff.
You guys are now back.
Yeah.
What made you decide to enter the market again after such a long break?
Okay. I think, as I mentioned, when Qkumba Zoo finished that first phase, I was like, I wasn't happy about that at all. It was like, okay, but we're not finished. There's not, there's more we need to do. And I end up, like I said, going back into a world that for me wasn't real. Obviously it's real. I mean, everyone has to get up and go to work in the morning. But in terms of what I wanted to do with my life, it was a step sideways, step back, what have you, from something that really was my passion. For, I don't know, a good 10 years, I never thought, okay, Qkumba Zoo is going to put out more stuff. It was like, how am I going to put out more stuff? But the truth is, I think Lavana and I write better together than separately. And I will often come up with a seed of a song, and then she crystallizes it. Just she has a way of crystallizing in her lyrics and in the songwriting, like a seed moment. So I was just happy to, I think with Butterflies Out of Time, to get the opportunity to put out another track. And I think at some point we had a discussion, okay, cool, we can put out more stuff, just that she will be, she's not going to be the pop star, we'll be creative people. And in the old days, I suppose you'd call us a band, whereas now we're a production collaboration under the name Qkumba Zoo. So I don't, I'm not saying we'll never perform live, but it's not something that we are aiming at. And as long as we can keep writing, and as long as people want to keep listening, that's great.
Band members, you mentioned Lavana. Anybody else that's left, or is it just the two of you kind of going at the moment?
Qkumba Zoo was always, back in there was 3 of us. It was Lavana, myself, and Tiki. And the one thing that was different about us, I think, is we had a performer in the band who wasn't really like a musician, part of the music. So I think over time that might have changed, and Tsiki might have sort of contributed songwriting and stuff. But the music was always Levan and myself, even before then. So in a way, the band hasn't really changed, except that we lost the visual component with Tsiki not being here with us. In terms of more members, I don't really have plans. I think I would like to work with more producers or more musicians, but not necessarily part of Qkumba Zoo. You know.
So, and then 2 years down the line, there's a new single called Unicorns with an amazing music video, which blew me away. Please tell me how all of this came about.
Okay. So Unicorns, after Butterflies, then I needed to figure out, okay, what's our next step? And that song was we had written that song in about 2002, except that Lavana didn't like the original lyrics and everything. So I said to her, well, look, the song and everything's great. Just rewrite the lyrics, just go and do it. Which she kind of was iffy about, but then when she did it, it was like, once she figured out what she was going to write about, it was like quick, okay, cool. And then I think one evening she came up with the lyrics and she sent them to me. I'm going, wow, that's pretty cool. Let's go with that. So that was last year. It was about a year ago that we started discussion. And then she wrote, and then she came and recorded. And then I spent quite a long time afterwards putting the music, producing the music. And if I may, I'm just going to mention I went into more detail about that on a video I put up on our channel. So if I can just tell, tell your audience that's it, they can go have a look. Because I think it's quite illustrative of how I'm working at the moment, that whole process. And now the next step. But I did mention to you, but I'm going to mention now. I think we're going to do another version of Unicorns. So we have a remix from Defected Sound of London, which I really quite like indeed. And then we've got that version. And then I'm going to do one that's, because when we started Qkumba Zoo, I was, had to really go listen to dance music at the time. And there was that Euro stuff, and there was that trance and everything. So this time around with Unicorns, I just did it, and now I'm going, okay, but I want to do a version where I'm listening to what's happening now. So wish me luck, and maybe in a week or two or a few weeks or months, we might have another version as well. So one thing about Qkumba Zoo is our versioning, because we release stuff and then afterwards realize, okay, well, let's remaster, and then we release another. That's what happened in our second album. So apologies to our fans if they get confused, but yeah, we'll probably have another version out soon as well.
Do you believe in unicorns?
You mean, do I believe in physical uniforms with
Unicorns? Physical or non-physical, do you believe in unicorns?
I believe in the metaphor of unicorns. That magical animal, that is there to remind us that there's more to what we can see than what we can see. There's more to life than just the 3D kind of things that we can see. So, yes, I believe in that metaphor of the unicorn. Yeah.
And I think for me, that is absolutely what Qkumba Zoo is about. There's a very much a spiritual side to the music. And if you listen to it, I think from the beginning of Qkumba Zoo up to now with unicorns, there's a really a very much a spiritual feel to it. Is that done on purpose, or does it just happen?
I think we're conscious of it, but it's not really done on purpose. It's we wouldn't want to do this if we didn't have that. So, and I was thinking about the other day, it's like you can define music in many different ways, but one of the ways you can do it, and one of the ways which I've been thinking about recently is if you strip everything away from the music, there's basically two kinds of music. There's music of remembering and music of forgetting. Now, music of forgetting, and it's not a judgment, it's just kind of what the aim of that music is. So music of forgetting is maybe your party music where you want to go put on that thing and forget about life for a while and just have fun. Music of remembering could be anything. Could be yoga music, could be singer-songwriters, something that brings you back to yourself and maybe elicits or helps you remember something about yourself. I think Lavanna and I, being who are, we're always going to tend towards trying to make music of remembering. And for us, that has a spiritual angle and it has a sort of psychological and very human angle, I hope, anyway. So, yeah. It's conscious, but not, we wouldn't want to do it any other way, yeah.
Then there's the music video, which is very, very different.
Yeah.
I mean, tell me about the creation of that as well. How did the concept there come about? What does it tell? There's a story that's being told. Tell me about that story.
Right. Talking about unicorns, that magical animal of remembering. Okay. Lorena wrote that song inspired by events in her own life. We wanted to create a video that sort of reflected what the song is about. So there's a bunch of kids that we know. And by the way, the whole video is done without any really serious direction. We kind of, okay, do this. And then we just stuck up the camera and I hope something would come out of it. There was a storyline, and the storyline basically is about kids being shoved into little boxes through our kind of the current way that we think of education, where it's more about learning content and that kind of thing rather than learning how to be on the planet. So that song, if you watch the video, hopefully that comes through about the kids sort of not waking up, because they don't need to wake up, but it's more the environment, the structure around them needs to wake up. So it's about that's a theme. I don't know, does it make sense to you?
Sound-wise, the sound here for me, it took me back to the child inside. There's a connection.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah. So with butterflies, I didn't refer to any like previous cucumber. It was like obviously the sound of cucumbers, hopefully, with dance beats and stuff. But with the unicorns, I thought, okay, I actually want to go back to, there's something about the child that at that point was not very conscious. It just kind of, there are a lot of things that just happened. And I thought I wanted to not recreate the child, but learn from my own past. So if you're hearing elements of the child inside, it's not a recreation, but I was definitely going, and when I mixed with Keith, I said, look, you've got to reference the modern stuff and you've got to reference the child. So there's a lot of that original child hopefully coming through in that version of Unicorns. Yeah.
You said there's no plans to perform in the near future.
Yeah.
Are plans for an album, any new tracks apart from the remix? That doesn't count. What are you planning?
Okay. Look, I think the way the music world has changed, in fact, coming back to the earlier question, like why Qkumba Zoo now? Because all of a sudden the technology is there for us to be able to do it. So so this is a long answer to your question. Bring me back to your question in case I end up heading off in direction. We didn't have the means then to self-release in any kind of meaningful way. Because of the way the industry's changed and streaming and indie-friendly distribution people, all of a sudden now we can actually release. It doesn't mean you're going to make success because you still need the marketing and you need to get people to hear you. So why Qkumba Zoo now? Was that the question?
Performances, new tracks.
Okay, that's right. I don't see us producing albums per se anymore. And part of that reason is we just don't have the time. If Lavanna and I could do this full time and she was interested, then there would be a possibility. Because an album, can take a year and depends on what you do. You can take 18 months to finish an album to a level that you're happy with. What I would like to is maybe get to a point where we're releasing EPs, like maybe 3 or 4 tracks. But that's kind of out of my hands. I have to, if I can get Lavanna in the studio, then we can do 4 tracks. If I can get it for one, I get it for one. So I see us doing more singles and EPs rather than full albums. at this point anyway. Yeah.
We chatted about unicorns, and then, my mind is like yours. It's all over the place sometimes. So sorry about bringing this back. But did you know that unicorns is also a symbol of courage and protection?
To be honest, yes, because Lorena mentioned it, but I'd forgotten. So thank you for bringing it. I think that's awesome. And it makes sense in terms of what the song's about. So and often courage and protection comes with reawakening. So good, great. Thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah. Your sound, if somebody's watching this and they've never listened to Qkumba Zoo, how would you describe yourself?
Oh my word,
Tricky question.
yeah. Look, I mean, you can kind of go back and say, okay, there's elements of Euro sound, there's elements of kind of African sound, there's elements of almost like a folky, whimsical thing, all kind of thrown together. And I think it's one way of understanding it. And I always, when I upload our music, it's like, well, how do you describe your sound? It's like, pop, dance. But that somehow doesn't really, doesn't grab it. But I loved, who was it? It was Darren, 5FM DJ. He said, you guys always remind me of kind of Bjork meets Africa.
Yes.
And I'm going, okay, cool. Slightly poppier than Bjork, but that makes sense to me. Does that?
I agree with you.
Okay.
I think then lastly, where can people follow you? Where can they get the single? Tell me all about that.
So Qkumba Zoo is available online on Spotify and Google Music, all the Amazon, all iTunes. So please go find us there. We have a Facebook page, and we do quite a lot of interaction there. We never really got into Instagram. We're not a very visual people, so we haven't put ourselves there. But Facebook, if people want to talk to us there, we really appreciate it. Then we just really started our YouTube channel, and I want to use that more. So we're doing Q&A sessions, live streaming, along with our videos, obviously. So we'd love if people go there, subscribe, hit that bell button. See, I'm learning about YouTube. Hit the bell button. And just stay in touch, because we will, I don't know, maybe once a month, maybe once every 2 months, do live streaming Q&A things. The nice thing about our fans so far, and what I really appreciate, is always ask really interesting questions, like a question about unicorns and what does it mean. So we'd be very happy people join us there and just kind of took a bit of a journey with us. Yeah.
And all goes well, public pressure for Lavana, if she is watching this, we want a concert.
I'm not saying never. That's all I'm saying. To put on a live show is a massive undertaking, especially when you haven't done it for like 15, 20 years. And her thing is she's now got another life. So, maybe the stars align, money's there and what have you. It could happen, but I'm not, I don't want to make any promises that we might never, or we might not be able to fulfill. Yeah.
So I think all from my side that I want to say back to you, and coming back to unicorns, and this is how this started, is I'm very much into my spirituality, and I've got my animal totems. I work with Native American spirituality, and unicorn is one of my totems for protection and courage. And today I want to say to you, may the unicorn be with you on this journey. And I hope Qkumba Zoo just prospers and blossoms, and it goes amazing from here.
Thank you, Ron. That I really, really appreciate that. And at the same time, I know you're starting something new, so I wish the same thing.
Thank you.
And I think this might be your first.
Having a sissy moment, yeah.
Yeah. I think
We can go. Sissy moment over.
I think maybe one of the reasons why we connected is Qkumba Zoo. Lavana and both myself, have always appreciated people like creating their own maps. because I think a lot of what's required on planet Earth right now is not rehashing the past, it's creating something new. So I want to wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And really, I'll go from strength to strength, and in the hard times, remember who you are, because that's what you need to bring onto the earth. So thank you.
Thank you. And we'll definitely catch you again soon. Great. Thanks, Al.
Thanks, Rian.